Hello, I'm Ben Miriam, and this is discussion 2. In the first video, she explains that she grew up in Nigeria and also went to school there. She then explains that she began to fall in love with writing, and she started from a young age. She says that as a child, you're vulnerable to all stories or easily persuaded. She goes on a story that can relate to the question that's being asked. She explains a person in her village whose family was poor and and they couldn't afford a lot of stuff, and it really put things in perspective to her. She goes on to college and meets a roommate who doesn't believe she's capable of anything, and a lot of misunderstandings of her background. And then the narrative we set out for certain people in other countries can sometimes be unreasonable. The relationship we see with power and narrative in her case is the more we know about the narrative as being in her being in her country can negatively correlate to her power, because people hear about the country and her background, and they think she's not capable of stuff, or she can't do certain things, but in reality she can be just like anyone else in a certain country or anything. I learned that you can't judge someone because of their background. And then in the next video, it starts off by saying that human beings are storytelling animals, as saying storytelling is our primary source of motivation and even motivation through life. She states that the narrative world paradigm is something that is it's an instinct, and the other one that she mentioned, it's more like learned. So we all have our different experiences in which can cause us to tell different stories and stuff. The narrative, as she explains, she gives a picture or a situation, and many other context stuff and more information can be created from a picture. The relationship between power and narrative in this video is that the narrative is be able to create power by the people who have experienced a certain story. I learned from that video every story can have its own narrative behind it. In this video, or the last video, he explains in a comedic way how his name can be, at the start, how his name can be interpreted to other people, but it does not match the color of his skin, and people can, misunderstand him. He goes into telling his life experiences, such as his mother, and then he goes on to explain the unfortunate things he has to do, like the cop pulling him over, license and registration has to be out, and just because of the color of his skin and the things he has to do and the problems he faces. I believe the relationship between this and power, or between power and the narrative, can allow certain people to have power, if that makes sense. Once use of power, we have social media nowadays, and some issues people face in the community, whether it's racism or anything, they're able to expose it and let other people know and let other people watch out for it, just like sharing an experience. In that video, I learned that people we have some power when it comes to it. Like situations like this, he was able to share stories with other people and other headlines, and so that's it. Thank you.